How's it going, YouTube? Welcome to the Cosmic Ray channel. I am your host, Cosmic Ray. Today, I want to talk about healing the past. I know in some of my recent story time with Cosmic Ray, I've had a couple stories that I felt that was like a journey through time kind of thing, and something's been kind of guiding me lately. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just getting a lot of synchronicities in my life, where I'm getting pointed out to certain things to be talking about, and I don't know, a lot of things just been kind of something about the past, of course, and it seems like time travel is always the thing lately with movies and whatnot. Um, there's something I wanted to talk about, and and if you are looking at this through my playlist, I'll probably gonna put this under probably my shamanic experience playlist. So what I want to talk about a little bit is, like I was saying, healing the past, and there's one technique that's been being brought attention to me is is part of a Hawaiian, more specific Hawaiian, I guess I want to say shamanism or Hawaiian shamanic practice, if you will, and it's actually even gone even past that to just something where I know that even Hawaiians themselves have just been indoctrinating this into their just normal everyday lives. So it's just kind of like a normal thing now, and it's called a ho'oponopono, and it's basically another way to in I guess a roundabout way to say it, to kind of forgive someone, and it's really nice. It's four different phrases that you would use and to go over, and it's basically I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And there's a particular woman who actually was you know, in a sense first started this, and I know one of her um, top students, the one that was really took this and owned it, if you will, and started making it more I don't want to say publicized, I guess more popular through other ways, and it was kind of cool. It's Ihaleakala. My apologies if I'm totally butchering this name, but Ihaleakala Hew Len, and I know this person's has a PhD in psychology, and what happened was the reason why this story was so famous was that like I said, was a psychologist, and this person's working with a lot of people who are unfortunately, I guess roundabout way to say they're partly insane crowd, if you will. There was a hospital that wanted him to work with some really hard cases, and that was going on, and I believe it was either 3 or 5 cases. My apologies, this is a story I remember back in the day, and I had to write some notes about it because I knew I was going to forget some certain key points, but so anyways, in this hospital, what he did was he's like, okay, well, give me whatever you want to call the worst of yours. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but there was specific case files that he was going to look into, and they're asked, well, do you want to come over, here to interview them or go over whatever it is? And he's like, no, 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 not at all. What I want you to do is please go ahead and provide me their case files and their pictures and what they did. So the this awesome person took their files and took ownership of everything that was going on or what they did, and he applied Ho'oponopono on all the case files that was given to him, and he did that. He did the four I guess the 4 sentences, if you will, or the 4 phrases, to adopt this and to take ownership of this. So with each one, it wasn't he was saying something along the lines of oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, and then moved on to the next one. He said blah blah blah, and he didn't go through it that quickly, or in a sense, he had that moment where he's like, no, I'm sorry, and then he would go over whatever they did, please forgive me, in his heart, he felt it all inside, you know, I love you, thank you, and really, centered himself into doing that, and that's what a lot of shamanic practitioners actually kind of do in a sense, and then during my through my own personal journey as being what they call an urban shaman, I have to do my own research, if you will, go through my own journeys and kind of figuring stuff out. We don't be able to have that in the sense of having someone else to usually study under, for the most part. And so as I'm going through just different research and different things, I found other things with Hawaiian shamanism, that was really profound. And one of these things were this, well, I like to call techniques, if you will, to adopt that into my own life. And I started thinking, well, this was a beautiful thing, for this person to do, because after he applied that Ho'oponopono for all those case files, there was miraculous changes, to these people, from they were being, I believe they were like bound beforehand, like having like crazy drugs and, pumped up in them because they were like the worst of the worst, they're very dangerous, people, at one point. But after applying that, it was, from my understanding, it was like almost like kind of like immediate results. They were no longer at least bound or anything that had to like be strapped, to anything. And the medication, from my understanding, was either little to none versus whatever they had before. For some people that were, always locked up in certain rooms, now they're able to kind of be out a little bit of the other people within the hospital or the asylum, whatever you want to call it, with the other people, and in a sense give them almost a little bit of their life back with somewhat, I guess, from being insane to a little bit of sanity, if you will. You can definitely research this. I mean, this thing is very popular, and it was just something I just wanted to bring about because I was trying to think of like, what could I do to adopt this? And, like I was saying, in shamanism, this is something, or in shamanic cultures, if you will, this is something very beautiful and profound to apply to. And I know this was partly, like another way of like how like Buddha sometimes like kind of empty out karma or cleanse karma, if you will, is like another way of doing that too. But I started thinking, as an empath, I really, I really don't like watching like the news, and not saying like, oh, I'm not want to be informed or anything like that. It's just, I don't want to say it's all like this, but sometimes I don't usually see like good news, if you will. It's always something bad, and of course that's how life is, and that's how sometimes the news is. They want to report on that stuff. It seems like that's what a lot of people like to watch. I hate to say it, but anyways, sorry, I don't want to get into it. But if you're an empath, you know what I mean. Sometimes you just hate hearing bad news all the time, and sometimes you wish you could change things and do like a little quick snap and try to change people's perception and stuff, hopefully for the better, but of course, it's not going to really work. But I was thinking, what could I do? If I was, instead of just changing the channel on the news, for certain bad things that happened, can I apply a Ho'oponopono? Well, if this psychologist, awesome shamanic practitioner, was able to do something like this, with just case files, not even meeting these people and just going through their folders and kind of taking ownership of this, very profound. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's something, I can do and possibly you can do as well. You don't have to be a shaman, you don't have to do anything like that. But I would say, when you do try to use this type of like special tool, in your toolbox, if you will, to definitely center yourself, take ownership, don't take ownership of it, and don't just say those four things and just be like, oh, okay, I'm done, just kind of feel it into the moment, feel it in your heart, feel it deep inside, when you say these things, when you get to that point when you say something like like the whole like I'm sorry, say it totally from your heart, from your mind, of what it was. Like I'm sorry. In your mind, you're thinking of what the situation was, what it was for. Please forgive me. Either to the people or victims or however this may be. I mean, this could be something to heal your past. So you can say, please forgive me. I love you. And think of them or whatever it was that was bad, or this particular person that did something bad. And then and thank you. And for them, for this type of experience, to do. And I was thinking, like even not even just like with TV, when you see something bad and when you see a lot of horrible things happen, people getting shot up, either back and forth, either if it's like people shooting, like a cop shooting someone innocent or someone, shooting an innocent cop, that was just really trying to help, or to anyone that's you see a victim, that's in a bank robbery or a murder or anything like that. I was thinking, I tried to do that. There was something horrible that happened in California, in Gilroy with the Garlic Festival, and they're still trying to figure that stuff out. And I try to apply that. Now, I did that all from my heart and try to see if that's something that would work. I don't know. I unfortunately I'm not there to with that guy to see if anything's going to change. But I was figuring, well, what if we have a lot of us doing something like that? Not saying obviously what happened was horrible. It didn't seem like you don't want to forgive anyone for doing something horrible like that, of course. That's when it's happened so soon, it's like, but I was thinking, what if we can do something to maybe help our past, and I'm sure some of us have had those, one bad apple. Either there's a friend that maybe did something bad to you, or maybe you've been bullied, or maybe been beaten up by people, or maybe something, just something horrible that maybe has happened to you. um, Not to get into it, but something bad happened to me. I'm not a perfect person. I've had horrible things happen to me. I'm sure I've said something horrible to someone, that maybe I felt, was justified, at that time, that, after, or, hindsight, like, oh, damn, I was such an ass or something, but, if something like bad happened to you, what if there's a way to kind of help take that away? I know sometimes in reality, we keep telling ourselves, like, in a sense, like we're like a victim, for a lot. And sometimes we feel that way because, at one time we were. And, but if this is something where you keep reliving and it's something where, like, it doesn't go away. Now, I'm not saying for you to forget the past. I always feel like, you can heal from the past in a sense of, like, like, I remember the past, so I can learn from my past to help benefit myself today going forward, my future, if you will. Um, and, I've had, like, that bullying experience, that happened to me. I've had horrible things happen to me when I was, like, really young, like 5 years old, and I wouldn't think I would ever forgive this person, this adult, for doing something, to me. And, I always felt like, oh no, I hope they die, in a horrible death. And, like, wish horrible things, on them, because, screwed me up, and to a point that I had to put a block on myself, and for so many years. And, having his wonderful experience of going through, like, this spirituality, and, having my Kundalini activated, my dark night of this, going through the dark night of the soul, my third eye opening, my realization of enlightenment, and the spiritual awakening that happened, it's giving me, like, another, like go, at life. I felt like, in a sense, reborn, it's like a new person, like, I can start my life all over. And I was thinking, well, what could I do? I don't want to keep telling that same thing about myself. I don't want to keep telling that same story of I was a victim, and, this happened, and I have to be this way because of this and this and this. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm done with that. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that. Of course, by all means, everyone has to heal at their own time and their own thing. I can't, who am I to be like, oh, well, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm going to do this, and I've changed my life, and you should change too. No, like, you got to do you. You have to go through your own healing process, whatever works for you. What I'm just trying to suggest is, like, if you've never ever heard about this, I was just, maybe try looking it up. Maybe the story might change or spark something in you that you might thinking, what, I'm kind of done. I'm done, retelling the same type of story to myself. Retelling the same thing of, so every time when I'm already feeling depressed in life, I'm going to tell this story to myself, even fall further down. Like, I don't need that. I need to lift myself up. What could I do to lift myself up, to heal myself so I can heal other people? I feel like I need to be able to heal myself so that maybe I can, work on myself and then work on other people, as in to help, give my positive energy to other people, so I can do that freely without any hesitation. Because sometimes when you want to help someone, if you see a friend in need and you're like, damn, I'm kind of going through stuff right now, like, oh, I wish I could help, like, oh, but then there's times when, if you do feel like you've been, like, I guess, healed, you might be able just to be like, oh yeah, let me do what I can to help you out. So I was trying to think of, maybe this is something that might help you inside. And so, like, so example, hypothetical here, just kind of give you just an idea. So, with this particular person, I don't want to go through with what they did to me, but let's just say it was just horrible. And like I said, I don't want to forget what happened. And in reality, you're the one who's going through it. For the most part. I mean, unless obviously it affected someone else too, in that situation, then of course, obviously, you're not going to kind of, like, make up a lie or anything. But in a sense, it's kind of like you're going back into the past. And what I do is, of course, I always feel like it starts off with meditation. But if you're able to center yourself without meditating, by all means, feel free to do that. If you can go to, like, a quiet place, or maybe even nature that's, not like, cars and everything around, and you're able to quiet your mind to a point where you don't have any other negative thoughts, or as soon as you close your eyes, like, oh man, what the hell is this guy talking about on YouTube? Just kind of just, like, take all that stuff out, and just kind of center yourself. And then you can, in a sense, you kind of visualize what had happened, and I know it's going to be horrible, but you have to kind of take yourself back, so you have to visualize yourself, in a sense, going back to that situation in time, if you will, like a little bit of time travel mentally. And, well, what I did, I did something like that. I go through my own little shamanic experience, my shamanic drumming, take myself to a different level, a different state of mind, if you will, of consciousness. And, and like I'm visualizing, I'm seeing everything that happened to me, and it's like I'm telling this person, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that either something happened to you or something happened that you made this happen to me. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive something, that you did to me, that, please forgive me, that's something that did for you, that happened, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Thank you for giving me this moment to be able to do this and to maybe help heal yourself and to heal me. And it maybe, maybe this is all like made up, but but just maybe it might heal them. So maybe they won't do this anymore to anyone else. Maybe you can heal yourself so that you don't have to retell the same story. It's like you're almost, in a sense, healing this or just changing the story. And, and see where that goes. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, something kind of similar where you're just all togetherness kind of changing that reality. So, and this is one of those things where I know this is very esoteric, and don't get me wrong, like I know the story of what happened to me, okay? So, if this is like something where I've told the story to other people, I'm not like retelling it in a lie, in a sense, like, oh, well, it didn't happen to me kind of thing. Obviously, if there's effects that other people saw, but in a sense, keep in mind, when you relive these moments of your life, these horrible experiences that's happened to you, or if anything, obviously when it comes to like a death in the family, something like that, you wouldn't be able to, in a sense, change the thought of like, oh, they're alive again. But I would say if it's something like that, you can feel like they're alive again in your heart. And I know it's like, oh, a nice little thing to say, right? But I always feel like when people pass on, they are with us. That I don't truly feel like they're gone, like fully. And I usually know, at least from personal experience, they like to kind of hang out, say, no, you're healed. Even to a point, I even had to deal with my grandma. I even had to, in a sense, tell her thank you for being around. But I want her to experience everything else in this world, because there's so much more than what we have in this realm, or in this like existence, I guess, or in this this incarnation. There's so much more to explore. So I had told her, I love you so much, but please, go do other things. I know you're always with me, in spirit. All those memories will never die. Always with me. Those are, so in a sense, I know it's not exactly what you want to hear, but she is, in a sense, alive in my heart and alive in my brain. I can always go in time. I can always think about those positive memories that made me happy. So that, because obviously, like, even people who are like celebrities that passed away, not to to get too sidetracked, let's say like Michael Jackson. I know that there's some controversy of what he may or may not have done to people, but regarding the music wise, his music kind of changed a lot with people. And I know I mentioned something about the man in the mirror, or the individual in the mirror, for the song, but that changes hearts and minds with people, to actually be able to listen and say, I'm gonna look at that person in the mirror, I'm gonna ask them to change their ways, and if you want to make your world a better place, you gotta look yourself and make that change, right? So I always feel that, like, I never met Michael Jackson, right? I've never met him, so in my mind, yes, I won't be able to see anything new that he did, but towards the end of the life, I didn't see too many things in him running around, jumping around, as much. It always seemed like certain bad things were happening. So sometimes people, when we think of Michael, we think of, maybe the Michael Jackson back in the day with the Thriller Michael, or this other version of Michael, or whatever Michael, or, or what I like, not some black or white, that version of Michael, or do you remember the time Michael? stuff like that, where you still have that visualization of what they are and what that song was when you first heard it. You kind of get taken back in time of what they were when they sang it. So I always feel like, even when they're gone, they're always, their spirit, the music lives on, right? Um, so I always feel like the memory of whoever it is that passed away will always live inside you. Now, if it comes like bullying or something like that, yeah, you had like this traumatized, feeling. Now, of course, whether or not you went to therapy or not, or whether you felt you're ready for therapy, or even if that would even work for you, because trust me, my own personal experience, it's not necessarily works for everyone. Sometimes people may have bad experiences, with that, especially if that therapist is, not on your side at all or open to being on your side. Um, so it could have some bad feelings. So what I would say with something like that, you change the story. It's your reality. It's the story, at least you keep replaying in your mind. Like for some reason you keep hitting rewind and playing, rewind and playing, rewind and playing. Like it's some bad DVD that keeps like popping in your head. You don't have to keep reliving that story. I mean, it is your reality. You are the one who has to deal with that memory. So technically you do what you want with that memory. Some people can just, out of sight, out of mind, throw it away. It's okay. That may work. That worked for me for almost 30 something years of my life, until things started resurfacing and I started to realizing why the universe is having me relive these experiences again. It's for me to kind of heal that maybe I didn't fully heal, right? So, I started thinking, the times when I had been bullying, that I changed the story, that maybe I beat up them, or maybe I realized they were, beating up themselves, or someone in their personal life was being too harsh, and they're unfortunately, taking out on you, and that sucks, and that's not a good thing to happen to someone, especially when you were completely innocent, a beautiful soul that how did this happen? I don't want to get into like spiritual contracts or anything like that, but if necessary, please look that up. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes karmically we invite bad things, and that's not meaning for you. That's not saying stuff happened to you and it was your fault. Nothing at all. I'm saying like that. It's just I know sometimes like for me, I sort of like I invite bad things or bad karma. So I'm like, well, what else could happen? And I'm like, and people always tell you, dude, don't say that. Don't invite any other like bad things in your mind and in your life. That's great. That's just what we need. We ran out of gas and you had to say out loud, what else could happen? And you're like inviting bad shit, right? So you don't necessarily have to keep doing that. But in a sense, like I kind of just changed the story. If either I was the superhero, that they try to beat me up and then I stopped and beat them up. Like, what does it really matter? Because if you're going to keep telling yourself a bad story, why can't you tell yourself a good story? Now, obviously, if you try to tell other people, like, oh, well, I didn't get beat up as a child, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you have to realize there's a certain course of reality, but at least the story itself that you replay in your mind, you don't have to, relive it. And I know this is not, for everyone. And I don't expect everyone to be like, oh, yeah, thumbs up, this is the greatest thing. I get it. But at least maybe, if that doesn't help of like changing the story, I would feel possibly changing or at least applying that Ho'oponopono that might be able to at least give the opportunity or way to help heal whoever did that when you're ready, to do that, to heal them and to heal yourself. Because maybe, from that point on, something in their mind just changes. Something may just flip the script, and maybe something in themselves will change. Um, so, that's kind of what I just really wanted to share today. And yes, so I like to say, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share this, experience, with you, and in hopes that you may be able to apply this. Now, I know I didn't go fully in depth with Ho'oponopono. I kind of just give you kind of like the gist, if you will, of what it is. But I do recommend it. Please, research that in yourself. I'm sure a quick Google search, can help. I've definitely read many, books and definitely had my own personal shamanic experiences and journeying, and also even read books on urban shamanism about specifically with Hawaiian shamanism. And this was something that kind of screamed at me, like following the signs, and it was something that I applied. I wasn't ready. Trust me, I wasn't ready. It was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna sound cool, and everything's gonna be all fine. And no, it wasn't. But it was something that it resonated with me when I first read it. It screamed out at me, and it took me a while. Like I read it, and then like a month later, something else started coming up about it, and I'm like, what? And then it was just more things, like one after the other. I'm like, dude, no way. Like, what is going on? Definitely synchronistic that I had to follow. And then I was thinking, well, why am I seeing this? What is going on? Why am I doing this? And finally something just clicked in, and it made me feel, Ray, you need to try, apply these in your life. See what happens. At least give it a shot. You don't know, if if this doesn't work, or at least these two, techniques don't work, then all it is something you were trying. It wasn't like anything different, because you keep telling this story to yourself all day long. Is that really healing you? No. When does that healing start? You know, talking about it, maybe talking about it with friends, sharing these experiences, maybe sharing it on YouTube, like I'm doing. But, I feel that, if at least this word goes out, maybe we apply that to other things, maybe other stuff in life. Maybe the more people who apply this in their lifestyle, maybe this might be able to help heal the world, maybe help heal people's perception on littering. I don't know, maybe not, or maybe it might heal political matters, instead of harping on the negative stuff and so much negative things happening all the time. You keep thinking, oh, it won't change, it's so negative because it always keeps happening. Maybe that's the universe saying, oh, this person likes negative stuff, let me just keep going. Sometimes universe and this ego self doesn't really understand what's going on in here, as well as what's going on in here in your heart. So sometimes with the ego, it likes to think of like, like when you hit yourself and you get these like, one accident after the other, and you keep having like this thing where you keep hitting your leg, or you keep, having these like negative things happen, and you're like, and getting like your heart like, and sometimes it kind of focuses on that. It's kind of weird, but if you didn't really like understand that concept, that happens a lot, and you may realize that may be true for you. Of things that are happening right now in your life, that you start focusing on the negative, and then more negative things happen, because it's like you get excited. And I know you're not really excited. Who wants negative shit happen to you, right? But if you keep focusing on that negative thing, it's like the universe keeps saying, oh, this person's excited, they must really like this, and you'll just keep more and more and more and more and more and more and more things, because they might like it. That's why I try to focus on the positive stuff. Obviously it's hard to find the positive and negative things, but that's not for me to decide. It's for you to find whatever you can, in your life that's going on. And this may not work for everyone, and I get that. And I'm not saying that this will work, 100%, for everybody, but I know it has with a lot. It has helped with myself. I hopes that this may help with you. So thank you so much, cosmic family, all you cosmic surfers out there riding those cosmic waves of life. Keep riding those waves. I always talk about like, waves and like surfer and all this stuff, but if you think about it, everything's like ebb and flow. Everything's like water. We keep going on, ups and down, ups and down, ups and downs, and you feel like you're getting seasick, if you will. It's like, when's it gonna stop? But we are reaching that, shore. We're going to eventually hit that, shore of enlightenment, if not already. So, please give it a shot if you haven't done so in your life. So thank you so much for your time. I love you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful day or a wonderful weekend. You guys take care.